Welcome to C&T Collectibles. I am C, and this is your Friday Sports Cards Chart Blast, where we go over the price action of our favorite collectibles. Price is truth. Doesn't matter what anybody thinks. It only matters what is actually happening. We start off, as always, with Mike Trout. Why do we start with Mike Trout? This is the most important modern card in the hobby today. Everything is priced off of that one. So as Trout goes, so does the rest of the market, because no one is going to pay more for a base card in a PSA 10 than they are going to pay for a Mike Trout. So if his price is $10,000, all other cards, they can rise with it, as we saw. But as he starts to come down, is it likely that someone's going to pay more for a Mookie Betts, than a Mike Trout? Probably not. So all those cards are going to kind of follow along. So he's one of the leaders, and you have to look at the leaders in each sport. You can get a gauge for the entire market kind of based off of that. And honestly, you'll have to go back a ways, I think, to find a more relevant card than the Trout rookie card. 1980 Ricky Henderson is a card that goes for more, but I think that has more condition sensitivity reasons for the higher price. But again, I think you just always have to look at the Trout card, whether you want one or not, and you get a general sense of the direction. So he's broken his uptrend longer term, like everything else. So if we zoom in just a little bit, we can see that he's continuing his downtrend, coming into an area. We were pretty good about calling the top, but as far as in that, and then we had an official sell kind of in that $5,000 area. But as far as calling the bottom, in here looked like it was interesting enough. Momentum was kind of starting to turn up a little bit, but as soon as it broke, you gotta change your mind as the facts change here. So continues his downtrend, coming into a zone where it's at least. It's been interesting for a while now. It's starting to get really interesting, but the momentum continues to go down. So discipline says wait for the time being here, and for a while we've kind of said, could we see a $2,500, $2,000 Mike Trout, and maybe, but a lot of things are kind of tagging the upper end of these zones here. So if some of these cards start to break, then the rest of them will follow suit. And so we've got a few more of these to look at. PSA 9 acceleration in the downtrend here. So it was holding on to support in this area here, but it just broke down, and now you're seeing a lot of chop, and you can see that the selling pressure has certainly picked up a bit here. But again, respecting the top end of these previous consolidation zones, they're just hanging out there as well here. So it's difficult to say with a lot of conviction buy. I mean, this is a pretty logical spot, but again, there's more selling pressure than there is buying pressure, at least in the shorter term here. But the prices, so if we look at this one, currently sitting at $1,250. I mean, you are looking at a $3,600 PSA 10 roughly, and so the 9 might be overvalued, and I'll kind of stick with my, could we see a sub $1,000 mint Mike Trout card? So BGS 9.5, a lot of chop here, but you can see momentum is starting to turn up, at least in the short term. But this is just wild stuff here. And everything in Technical Analysis 101 says this is probably a $1,000 card. So you've got the top of your range to the bottom of your range with a consolidation, and that's a roughly $4,000 to $2,000, a couple $1,000 move here. So we'll see, and then again your break. So we'll see what happens on this one. Then you've got a $500 move from here, from $2,000 down to roughly $1,500. So currently that's the current price here. So a break one way or another is going to be $500, and again, you could see $1,000 on that 9.5, which is kind of crazy to think. Well, unless you go back a year, then it's like, whoa, that's a pretty high price. So it just shows you how much things have changed in the over the past year. Back at 9, again, momentum is rolling over, and thinly traded stuff here, but again, bottom of the range is under $900. So we'll see how that goes here. So all right, Mookie Betts, we had our consolidation breakout, consolidation breakdown as the selling has accelerated. Hard sell signal came in around $800. So currently we're sitting at $373. So we're looking for maybe a quick tag of that $300 area-ish, and you got that. So we'll see if that is enough. If not, nothing stopping this from becoming a $200 card. So if Mike Trout continues to go down, the Mookie is going to put pressure on Mookie and everybody else as well. So no one's going to pay a price that approximates what a Mike Trout is. They're going to come down by a similar percentage here. So unless you're Vlad, of course. So momentum looks terrific. Top of the range coming off again, but looks like he might make a run up to the top here. So again, you're looking at his his numbers here: 35% home run to fly ball rate, 360 BABIP. It's like he's going to cool off at some point, you would think, and that could drag his prices a little bit lower, but the trend remains up until it doesn't. PSA 9, kind of the same thing here, tagging the top of the range coming off. So you've got this $60 to $90 range here, sitting right in the middle. Not a whole lot to maybe do with that one. So, nothing wrong with the raw cards. So those are tough to get in a really mint version either. So if you don't want to mess around with this, go for it. But Vlad looks like he could be. Everyone thought he was the real deal when he came up. It just took him half a year to figure it out. So a year and a half to figure it out. So, anyways, middle range, not a whole lot to do here. Probably a little more downside to than upside. And again, there's probably some regression coming here. But heck, the trend remains up on that one. And the chrome, so top of the range came back down to the support area, and now you're sitting at the bottom of the range where there has been buying in the past here. So see if we can get a move up to that upper boundary, $400. If it can't hold on to this, then you're going to grind your way back down into this area, which was let's see, currently 265, 255, $100. Well, I don't know, was that 180, something like that? It would be down. It would be down a decent amount here. So Ronald Acuna, decent sell signal right around that 240, 250 area here. And now you're coming into a support zone where there's been some buying in the past when things really started to accelerate towards the latter part of last year. So we'll see if the buyers are willing to come in. But again, momentum continues to trend lower with the prices. We're not seeing buying pressure in the short term really start to pick up in any meaningful way here. So you want to see a move out of this range. If this can't hang on, then you're coming back down to, believe it or not, like a $70 or $80 level, which seems insane unless you, again, just go back a year and a half and it's like, oh yeah, sure, fair price. So longer term on the tops chrome, you can see bottom of the range here. So if this can get a bit of a lift in this area here, then the flagship probably can do well as well. So we'll see how that plays out. But risk reward on this one is at least favorable for now. But if it can't hang on, then again, you're coming down to that $100 or less area. Most likely update Juan Soto having not a season like he had last year, but it's not the worst season in the world. So momentum is picking up just a little bit as he we had our confirmed salary. It was in that $300 range. Our line in the sand was the 280, looking for a move into this 150 area. So now you're kind of leaking below that. If it couldn't hold this at 125 or something like that, and that's you're just a little bit above that right now, but we are seeing some nice compression here, which usually is a sign of a reversal. If they compress upwards, you break down. Compressing downwards, possibly break up. It could get a little bit of lift, and all that's going to take for that is Mr. Soto to go on one of his hot streaks here. So PSA 9, same thing. You're just in this area. A lot of these things are just in the area, so you're just at a make or break level for all this. I hesitate to say buy the market, just because there's so much more selling than buying at this point, but you are in an area where things are finally getting very, very interesting. So Fernando Tatis, what more does this guy have to do? Terrific season here. So momentum, you had your sell in that 250 area. 250. And then momentum is starting to curl up a little bit right again at this area where there's been some consolidation and movement before. So we'll see if we can bust up and out of that range. But again, anything in here might be kind of quick, but there's a lot of buying and interest in this area here. So we'll see if those people that transacted in this area come back to life. But as with everything else, just worth monitoring right now. No need to be a hero, but I do like that momentum is turning up. But we've seen that before, and until we get a sustained move, that shorter term buying power up over the longer term buying power. You don't need to be a hero. Ozzy Albies said, was this 2-3 weeks ago? Gosh, not having a bad season. Actually, looks like he could be on All-Star pace, and he made the All-Star team. I wouldn't have guessed that one. I was surprised when I saw that, but the numbers back it up. So, your range is about $60 on the upside and $35 on the downside, and you're closer to the lower end of that range right now. So, a good-looking player. Really nice longer-term track. I think is super interesting. I think. If you don't have an Ozzy Albies, it's at a point where it's like, oh shoot, maybe you take a shot. And you could see a big dip down to that $30 area, but maybe people are catching on to the fact that he's pretty darn good. Another guy that's having a terrific season here, but people just aren't too interested in taking big risks in the baseball card market. It seems like. So Rafi Devers with this consolidation, and you have a pretty decent range here, $100 on the high side here, down to $50, and so. It's tough to say that's a $50 move either way. I mean, but could this be a $20-$30 card again? I mean, I doubt it. But you had your consolidation, and now you're kind of favoring the Bears, and maybe you have to go a little bit further to really get people excited in that $40-$50 area. And if it does get down there, I mean, what he's doing is pretty great. He's a young player, and if you're waiting for a Devers, then heck, take your shot. But it looks like we might have to see a little bit more downside unless we get a lot of buyers stepping in here. But what the heck more does he have to do? All right, I didn't want to go to Jordan quite yet here. So got a little bit of the Fangraphs star stock stuff here. Get out of there. Kyle Schwarber having a terrific season here. But you need to just put things in perspective a little bit here. Here's a guy that's 28 years old. And you can see that is... Well, yeah, so this is his game log over the past month. And, I mean, he's had like 16 home runs over the past month. If you really have to have my point is, if you really need to get a Kyle Schwarber, is this really the time to do it? If he's had a historic month of June. Again, 16 home runs. I mean, that's nearly what Barry Bonds, Sammy Sosa level stuff right here. So, 28 years old, and he's got 11 wins to his name. He's never really put up a 4-win season. He'll do it this year and have a great season, but I don't think there's enough in the past to say, this is this really awesome long-term track or anything like that. He's just had an incredible month, and I'm a fan of his, and I'm glad to see it. Get out of Chicago and see what you can do here, and he's doing it. But I would hesitate to pay too much for his stuff, and you can see over on StarStock how much these prices have gone, and I wouldn't chase that with what he's done. Again, here's the hottest streak that he's ever going to have. Is this the time to buy? Probably not. Trey Turner having a terrific season. And look what he's done. He's done this before. He's had some really nice seasons in terms of weighted runs created, in wins above replacement. He's hit the ball really well. He's had a couple of years where he's been a little bit injured, but for the most part, when he plays, he does a really nice job. But again, 28-year-old sitting on 20 wins, and so over the next 7 years, can he be a 5 or 6 win guy? Hasn't done it yet, but if he starts putting up 5, 6, 7 win seasons, then you got to take him kind of seriously. And so over on StarStock again, prices kind of reflect that. Maybe he could do a little something here. So there's an area where buyers have kind of stepped in the past. If you're looking at a decent Trey Turner, it's like, okay, well, that's maybe that's worth a bit of a shot here. But I think he needs to, again, you need to come up, produce early and consistently, and he hasn't quite done that. So, but if you play till 40, then that path becomes a little bit easier. So I'll wrap it up baseball-wise with Bryant Reynolds, who's having a terrific season. Here's a 26-year-old with 6.5 WAR to his name already. And so, in most of his season, he was probably a 3 to 4 win player, all-star level player. In a partial season. Last year, not too good, but this year, he's having a terrific season here. So strikeout rate, back to where he was in the high minors, under 20%, decent walk rate. BABIP is a little too high. The power is coming out of nowhere a little bit here. He's got 14 home runs, so he's certainly smoking the ball here. But I think that's an interesting. No player is a buy, is a don't buy or sell or anything. It's all about price, right? And so if you can find a guy like Bryant Reynolds who's having a terrific season, and someday if he makes it to a major market, could really do something, and you're not paying much more than a quarter, it's like, okay, that's for me, that's the kind of guy that I'd certainly take a chance on. So all right, Michael Jordan getting just a little bit of basketball here, uptrend. Poked his head out of the range, and pretty decent sell. Honestly, when you start to see prices move and there's very few buyers, that's just just stay away as it is. And so looking for a move back into this area, and we're getting it. So now he's sitting at the bottom of the range. Momentum continues to trend lower here, so we need some buyers to step in real quick on this one. Otherwise, if you leak lower, it could be into that. It was at $8,000. I think the bottom of this is like $6,000 or something like that. So again, trend is down, momentum is down, but at a spot where it's like, all right, people start stepping up to buy. Could be a decent opportunity, and I think there's a guy out there that's trying to pump up Jordan and LeBron cards here, so that's not insignificant. LeBron's getting a bit of a bump here, so top of the range coming off. You can see momentum starting to roll up just a little bit here, so that's a positive development, but it's really just coming back to the this previous support area becomes resistance, and that's what we're seeing right now. So if it can break above this range, then there's a couple grand to be made on this one, and with the short-term buying pressure turning up, at least an interesting area. I mean, it did return into an area with a lot of buying. So LeBron looks interesting enough if you have the cash. Again, we look at the 10s, so the lower grade cards will probably follow that along at some point. Luka trend remains down. We did have a 665-ish price target on it, and it darn near got there. So nice little bump. It's sitting at the top of the range, but momentum is turning up here. So if we can get a sustained breakout here, then we could see some higher prices, and you could see a $900 Luka again. So again, looks interesting, but again, don't have to be a hero. We've seen momentum turn up in the short term in the past, and it hasn't led to anything. So maybe third time is the charm. Trae Young got hurt. So top of the range coming off again, and so the breakout did not hold, and you're back into this range, and you could see some lower prices perhaps on that card, but risk reward is not entirely favorable at this time. Karl Anthony Towns, why are we looking at this one? I don't know. Needed someone, and everyone's hurt. So at least this guy's just not playing. Did give you the sell and the breakdown on this one here, and the prices continue to trend down. So at the lower end of the channel here, and you could see a pop, maybe $200 or even higher, but probably worth selling until you can get some sustained buying above that area here. But this is a pretty decent range, high price, about $450, sitting down to about, call it 300, and so $150, $125 will be your downside here, and so you're getting close to that at least here. But this is a strong move down, and those are usually reversed quickly, so we could see a little bit of buying step in here. So a couple football here. Lamar Jackson did put up a decent buy signal in February, where a lot of things were just starting to get, that was kind of the top for a lot of things, and it wasn't for him. His top was back in there, but now we're back on a sell signal here, and you can see that the trend is lower. So I don't get it. I like him, and so therefore he must be sold. So we'll just go with that. But yeah, the PSA 10 and that 9 is just $125, really cheap. So we'll see how that plays out. But again, a whole lot of nothing here, and I think it might just take a little training camp action to get football cards going. Looks like they want to, they just haven't. Kyler Murray, momentum's flattening out, and he's sitting at the bottom of his range here, so that looks like an interesting enough spot for Kyler Murray, who should have a decent season. It says a hopeful dynasty fantasy football owner of him. So Aaron Rodgers, top of the range, sitting at the bottom of the range and getting a bit of a lift here. So at some point this saga will kind of figure itself out, and this is a Hall of Famer, so he could probably get a decent move off of that area here. So we'll see, but risk reward is favorable-ish on that one. And we'll wrap it up on Charizard. Notice that there was a good momentum crossover at this area here, and so just had to pull back a little bit, and then boom, big pop here. But now it's coming back into the range here, so we'll see if that was a big fake out or not. But if we can get a couple buys in here, then we should be able to see a nice upward trend on that one. So that's what I have for you. I hope everybody has a terrific week, 4th of July weekend. Enjoy it. Be safe. I'm at the cabin next week, so I don't think I'll be posting a whole lot of this. Maybe I'll show off some barbecue, but whatever, man. Hope everyone has a terrific weekend, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.